It's 5 past. So good afternoon, everyone. We would really like to welcome you at our series, the second edition of the series. We had already yesterday an event with a similar topic about societal readiness. It was more of a focused topic on something that is coming in the framework program. So today we will rather have a broader topic about the social economy and social innovation with some very good examples from the countries of the organizers, which are Lithuania, Poland, Slovenia, and Hungary. And so we hope you will enjoy and learn from these inspiring examples. My name is Ágota Dávid. I'm working at the permanent representation of Hungary as a science attaché, but I'm representing the National Research Development and Innovation Office, the main funding agency of Hungary in Brussels. And I will be moderating this event this afternoon. So we have a nice tradition, and I would like to now switch to Hungarian shortly, and then I will also give the word to my other colleagues to welcome you in our national languages. Jó napot kívánok mindenkinek, örülök, hogy ma is csatlakoztak hozzánk, és reméljük, hogy tényleg sokat tanulhatnak ezekből az érdekes konkrét példákból, amiket mára hoztunk mindenkinek. So thank you very much. I now give the floor to Tadas, and I will come back at the end with some housekeeping rules.
Thank you, Agata. Good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Tadas Tumenas. I'm the head of Lithuanian R&D Liaison Office here in Brussels. And now I'm switching to Lithuanian language. Labą dieną visiems prisijungusiems. Šiandien mes tęsime mūsų nuotolinių renginių ciklą ir šį kartą webinaras yra dedikuotas socialiniai ekonomikai ir socialinėms inovacijoms bei suprasti jų kuriamą pridėtinę vertę. Ir šį renginį vainikuos ekspertų diskusija, kurie pasidalins savo įžvalgomis apie jų darbą socialinės ekonomikos ir socialinių inovacijų srityje. Todėl linkiu jums įdomaus renginio ir kviečiu aktyviai dalyvauti klausimų atsakymų sesijoje. Dėkui. And now I'm switching back to English and passing the floor to my colleague.
Thank you very much. Also from us at the Slovenian Business and Research Association, we would like to welcome you to today's webinar. I will also say now a couple of words in Slovenian to our Slovenian participants. Lepo pozdravljeni in ponovno dobrodošli na današnjem drugem dogodku na temo socialno gospodarstvo, zlasti s poudarkom na socialnih inovacijah. Veseli nas, da ste se nam tudi danes pridružili in upamo, da boste pridobili veliko koristnih informacij. Kot vedno, če imate kakršnekoli vprašanja, jih lahko kot vedno zapišete v klepet, ki ga imate na voljo, in seveda po dogodku na naš email naslov na SBRA. Thank you very much, and I would like to pass on now to Maciej.
Good morning and a warm welcome to all attendees. My name is Maciej Zdanowicz. I'm representing Polish National Center for Research and Development office in Brussels. And thank you for being with us today. We have an exciting agenda and I wish you a fruitful session. Now I'll switch to Polish to welcome all Polish participants. Dzień dobry Państwu, witamy serdecznie na dzisiejszym już drugim webinarze z cyklu innowacji społecznych i ekonomii społecznej. Życzymy udanej sesji i witam serdecznie jednego z naszych panelistów, pana doktora Andrzeja Klimczuka i serdecznie zapraszamy do śledzenia naszych aktywności. Now I will switch to English again, and I will pass the floor to Ursula.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Ursula Lugmayer, and I represent two Hungarian universities in Brest, Vanderpoorten University and Corvinus University. We are happy to welcome you here, and I say some words only in Hungarian because I got already welcomed them. So szeretettel üdvözlöm én is Önöket, különösen a kollégáimat az ELTE és a Corvinus egyetemekről. Nagyon reméljük, hogy érdekesnek és informatiknak találják az előadásokat, és javasoljuk, használják ezt a remek alkalmat arra, hogy egy interaktív beszélgetés alakuljon ebből, és bármilyen kérdésük van, nyugodtan forduljanak a későbbiekben is majd hozzánk. Back to English, and I'm giving the floor to Ágota, who speak about the housekeeping rules and introduce the first speaker.
Thank you so much, Ursula. Actually, we don't have many rules, but usually we keep the cameras closed because that helps us to have a proper connection, and also the microphones, colleagues, please, so we do not disturb the speakers. But you can raise your questions in the chat, and we even encourage you to use the chat for raising questions. Whenever you find something interesting you would like to react on, then don't hesitate. So we will have a look at the chat constantly, and we will raise those questions both to the speaker and then later to the panelists. We are recording this event, so unfortunately, maybe yesterday the recording was not completely successful, but today hopefully it will work out, and then we will publish it on the website of Lino. It will be sent around to the participants together with the PowerPoint presentations, so we can share the slides, because this is always a question that is raised by the audience. So we will share the slides after the event. And just very shortly, why this is a very timely and interesting topic. So we just had a European Research Area Conference last week, and even in the keynote speech, it was highlighted how important it is now to work for the society. So competitiveness in itself is not enough. So we really have to address societal needs, and we also have to use such methods that work for the society. So we are really happy to welcome a speaker from DG GROW, because usually we invite colleagues from RTD, but as we can see, this topic is also growing out of other DGs. So I want to invite and give the floor to Karel Vanderpoorten, who will speak about what the Commission is doing in this field. So thank you very much for accepting our invitation, and Karel, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Can you first of all confirm you hear me well?
Yes, we see you, hear you.
Super. Allow me to first share my screen. That worked before, so I assume that will work again.
Coming, yes, but still within in the final mode. Yes,
okay.
Now we still have the gray square we talked about, but
is it annoying,
no,
or
it
can I
sounds small. It's great. Perfect.
Okay.
Thanks.
Wonderful. So thanks a lot for having me today in this session, and to also invite DG GROW in this research-oriented group. So I'm particularly enthusiastic to be here, even though I would have liked to be amongst you more in a physical mode. But on the other hand, it makes it possible to have a way further reach towards Central and Eastern European countries, majorly represented here today. And I will be honest, that's for us not evident to reach out to your countries, certainly not social enterprises, social economy actors, and social innovators. Excuse me for this. Why? There are various reasons that is studied many times by very different researchers, but the concept of social economy is not always evident in Central and Eastern European countries, given your history. But nevertheless, we see that there is such a rich community presence, and that these communities are very, let's say, rooted to the territory, so very grounded, but are not always engaging with the European level or with their counterparts in other countries. And evidently also not with the Commission. So whenever we have a request to present our policies to Central Eastern European partners, we are very keen, because that is an opportunity for us to tighten the relations, to reach out, to engage, and also to explain you how we can collaborate in future, not necessarily only with us, but with other actors across the EU that are belonging to the social economy. Before I start, I should maybe introduce myself. That's more evident in the beginning of a presentation. I forgot that. My name is Karel Vanderpoorten. I'm policy officer since 7 years in the European Commission, DG GROW, on the topic of social economy and social innovation, and also partly on social housing policies, these days also very prominent in the European Commission's portfolio, by the way. DG Grow, for those who don't know us, is the Director General for the single market. So, of course, this is a major resource for our well-being and economic progress in the EU, for industries, for entrepreneurship, and for SMEs. So many things are, of course, very related to social economy, because social economy is not about social public services or not about social policies in itself, but it's economic actors that are providing societal solutions, bringing added value by other business models. And that's why DG Grow wants to invest for many years and is investing for many years in social economy policies to bring in the picture these alternative business models that have a sort of impact first priority, that wants to put people first, but are still businesses and that are still operating as economic actors. So that is a bit the frame I will talk about with you today. And then, of course, the link to social innovation, because social innovation is a main driver for those type of actors. Social innovation is, of course, not limited to entrepreneurship or social enterprises. You can apply social innovation also in public institutions, in more civil society, non-economic configurations. It's a way how to deal with certain societal challenges, put forward certain solutions, and try to scale them and adapt them to the local context. We also have a lot of focus on digital social innovation, where, of course, digital instruments, tools, technologies are used to fight certain societal challenges, or to solve, or so to offer also new services, new projects, new products on the market or off market. So that's a bit the introduction, the scope of what I'm doing, what we are doing with our team in the Commission. And I think it's for you helpful to be aware what are the main policy initiatives taken at the European level to support the social economy. The first is the Social Economy Action Plan. And now you will be blasted by a huge slide with very different areas and hexagons and I don't know what, but I will make sense out of it. And the most important thing, and I will not go through all these things with you, but it's also to show you on the bottom where we are coming from. In 2021, we had the adoption of the Social Economy Action Plan, which is basically a European strategy to support the social economy. The social economy we understand as businesses that are organized like cooperatives, like mutual societies, non-profit associations, foundations or philanthropic organizations, and the social enterprise. So sometimes they are related to a legal form, sometimes they are related to a business model, and usually they are linked to each other. Those organizations put, as I said, impact first, people before profit, but they are still economic actors. They are usually organized with the governance models that are democratic or participatory, and they offer solutions on the market to solve or to commit to certain societal or social problems, but also to have a collective initiative to make the life of the members or the society better. To make that tangible of this collective initiative is, for example, a cooperative energy platform where citizens decide to jointly produce energy and jointly own this company like a cooperative. So that is one specific example. Many of the social enterprises that we know are, for example, present in the circular economy. They offer second-hand products, but also they are responsible for collecting and sorting of waste, but also upcycling. They even produce products that are staying longer into the product cycle, and so on and so forth. So these are other examples of social enterprise, and probably most of them are also employing, for example, persons with a distance to the labor market, like persons with disabilities or people with specific backgrounds that are not having access to the open labor market. So these are things that are very much known, and some examples to make it somehow easy for you to understand what we see under social economy. Very important to remember of the Social Economy Action Plan is the orange box in the middle. Basically, this pictures what the Commission will do to support in terms of business capacity. So to support those businesses, for example, by organizing training sessions, by organizing information on access to funding, financial instruments to support social enterprises that are, for example, not having a loan at the bank, that are not possible to get a loan at the bank. We are supporting them by offering financial instruments with a guarantee by the EU, so that banks are still likely to give you funding. We support in trends in green and digital transition of the sector. We support social innovation specifically. When we go to the purple box, it's also important to collect data, to have a proper communication, to make the people, to make the citizen aware about the added value of social economy. Last week, we have published a study that updates the economic presence of social economy in the EU. What, for example, shows that around 11 million people are employed in this sector across the EU, which is huge. So we should not be too, let's say, modest about the economic impact, the economic size, maybe not always in terms of GDP, but unfortunately, there are no metrics to measure, for example, ecological or social impacts in terms of monetary terms. But in terms of employment, for example, this sector is a very solid an important sector. Think about all these health and care centers, creches, kindergartens, elderly care, but also in the creative industries, for example. So many sectors have social enterprises that are very much delivering on these economic models. And then on the left side, you have the green or blue, whatever, however you perceive the color, where we also want to improve the framework conditions for social economy. That means regulatory frameworks, what type of legal forms can be used, what kind of state aid regimes are offered to support social enterprise. How do we promote public procurement and social clauses? So if you procure as a government, as a public authority, how can you promote, for example, that social enterprises are executing these standards? The same for by social in a private context. How do we bring for-profit companies closer to social enterprise so they buy from the social enterprise, and in this way also support their economic growth, but also their impact model? So all these things are captured and demonstrated by the social economy action plan. I will not go more in detail, but you find everything on this via our social economic gateway. This is basically the landing sites built by the EU, by the Commission, to have all the knowledge and information on social economy in the EU. Everything that I told you and I will tell you today, you will also find via this gateway. Before, it was all scattered across the Commission, different directorates, websites, but now we have it in one single entry point where you find all resources. We also have information on a member states level. So the most important federations in your country, for example, the most important service providers, studies that are related to your countries, projects that are related to your countries. And we also want to ask, if you see that information is missing about your country or you want to contribute, you can always share your projects. If you have, for example, a European project or a national project with relation to social innovation or boosting social economy, we are very happy to share it here. Then there is a second element in terms of policy, and that is the industrial strategy. And that is a very interesting thing, because since a few years, we have redesigned the industrial landscape of the EU in 14 different ecosystems. You will see them on the right side. What is very interesting is that in this landscape, we have retail, we have tourism, we have construction, but we have also on the left upper side proximity and social economy. So the Commission recognizes proximity and social economy as an important aspect of our European industry. And that is, of course, because it builds a relation with all these non-profit cooperative organizations, social enterprises that are bringing economic added value on the one hand, for example, translated into employment and GDP, but also in terms of impact, societal impact, ecological impact, and social impact. And these are, of course, the main drivers of social innovation, but they are also present in all these other ecosystems. So it's basically some recognition of a specific type of business models, but with a reach out to all these, because, for example, in sustainable tourism, you will find them. In health, they are also overly represented. Even construction, think about social housing, retail, and so on and so forth. Why is this so important? Because we are now producing and collecting also figures on these economic trends within the social economy, as I already explained with the study I just mentioned, but we also make 6 months annual evaluations about the economic situation of this ecosystem itself. That's more than enough for you to know. But what is one of the outcomes of this redesigned industrial landscape is that each ecosystem has developed a specific, let's say, action plan to drive the green and digital transition of the sector. And that's what we call a transition pathway. A transition pathway was designed for this ecosystem together with 400 participants. So business federations of social economy, individual enterprises, service providers, regional authorities with a specific interest to promote social economy and social enterprises / social innovation. And there we have come to 14 action areas, 7 green, 7 digital. And these are key importance for the future of the social economy in the EU. And this is basically the baseline of every action that we are doing at European level in the last years and in future to support the economic development of social economy. So this is, of course, pure economic oriented, and it's not focusing necessarily on the social development. And that is, of course, why it's also much driven by us. A last element here is that we try to create some kind of a movement here where we invite, and this is, of course, very interesting for me to be here, where we invite stakeholders to contribute to one of these 14 action areas and support the Commission in reaching development on those action areas. And that's why we have a call for pledges. A call for pledges is very simple. We actually ask people to come up to present their unique approach or something they are proud of, or a business approach that is really contributing to the green or digital transition of a social enterprise. This is not to put the ball in your camp. This is not to say, listen, the sector should do everything. No, it's to enlarge our knowledge on how social economy is developing initiatives, projects, strategies to green their business model, to green their impact model, but also to digitize their processes, for example. And on the basis of those pledges that we collect, we will facilitate also transnational partnerships. We are already doing that for many years. We are launching every year calls to support the social economy in a transnational matter on one of those 14 action areas. For example, on data, for example, on platform business, for example, on greening business model operations, for example, on the circular economy. So this collection of pledges is a huge resource for us to see what are the main trends within the social economy, but it's also a matchmaking tool to bring you together. Therefore, we are also producing a platform that will be published in a few weeks, where also thematic spaces can be organized between stakeholders that made a pledge online, and for example, to prepare for European calls dedicated to one of those 14 action areas. So I think it's really important for you to give this frame of European policy to support social economy. But I was also asked to explain you what we are doing or how do we support social innovation as such. One of the most important sources in terms of funding and in terms of competence is ESF Plus, European Social Fund Plus. I assume you all know this, and maybe you know several of the initiatives here, and probably there are even members of some of those initiatives present. But there's almost 200 million present in the ESF Social Innovation Plus initiative, which puts forward the European Competence Center for Social Innovation. It's a European-wide competence center that collects, assesses, develops, validates, and disseminates suitable tools and methods for social innovation. So it's basically the source of social innovation at European level. But it's connected with six national consortia of competence centers of social innovation. So there's also a decentral component to that, where you have consortia of a few member states that jointly want to organize their social innovation policies with ESF money. So what is it doing? It puts, for example, calls in the market to support social innovators, organizes capacity building for social innovation, for example, sectoral on terms of challenges, for example, also in terms of train the trainer, how to promote competitions, and so on and so forth. Then we have also the social innovation match, which is a sort of facility to promote the visibility, but also to create linkages between those partners across the EU. It all comes from the competence centers, so everything is linked to each other. And then we have also a specific strand, because all the previous things are organized at member state level, so where member state consortia are organizing calls at the local level. But we have also a European innovation strength of the EASY, the European Employment and Social Innovation Program, that has very specific focus on implementation of the European Pillar of Social Rights, where calls are put into the market directly by the Commission. All these things are grouped every year in a social innovation forum, and luckily for you, that's next week. So you can follow this online. If you're not able to join, maybe you will join, but if not, it's all web streamed, a very resourceful forum. So it's a good coincidence that I'm talking to you, so you can find out everything. All the links are in the slide. I will share them right away after, so you can also click through. Also with the Single Market Program, which is managed by DG GROW, we are supporting social innovation, specifically by organizing a European social innovation competition. It's called USIC. It's already existing since 2013. Every year there's a new topic, a societal challenge. Last year it was fighting energy poverty. We had already digital social innovation. We had on housing. We had many textiles, tourism, and so on and so forth. So in many different sectors or areas or specific challenges. And the new topic for 2024 will be announced pretty soon. We have a community of alumni that are also present, so to take all these winners regularly to each other, so they can also share with each other and further continue their model. There is every year a challenge, sorry for the typo there, by the way, a challenge prize, so the winners of the top three, the best solutions that are, for example, last year for fighting energy poverty. And we have also an impact prize. That is a prize that is given 1 year later that measures also what type of impact that was created amongst the top 10 winners. And then I have a small spin-off, which might be interesting for you. I will try to go pretty fast, but it's a specific thematic focus that we are, let's say, focusing on since many years. And it's a concept called clusters of social and ecological innovation. And basically, we want to mirror the traditional industrial clusters and want to find out how such cluster organizations, as such cluster phenomena, also exist, not with the ambition to create more competition or to improve the competitiveness of the companies that are member of a cluster, but with the ambition to promote, for example, social innovation and to create a better ecological and social impact. We made a small report about that a few years ago, which you will see on the right upper down corner. And we have come up with a definition together with a group of people who are very much into this topic. A cluster of social ecological innovation group, mainly social economy entities, but also mainstream enterprise, civil society organizations, public authorities, education, research institutions that cooperate in a particular location to improve the local economic, ecological, and societal prosperity. And also an important focus on regeneration by facilitating cooperation, pooling of resources, and innovation capacity. That sounds very abstract, of course. That is like a thematic sort of conceptual definition, but I will give you some examples at the end of the presentation, and I will also give you some of the features. We have seen that such type of clusters usually arrive from a governmental initiative, so a public initiative to set up a sort of cluster or to group, let's say, organizations together with those characteristics to solve a certain societal issue, or it's bottom-up, where initiatives are taken by civil society, by social enterprise community, and where they invite, for example, other industrial partners, but also, for example, a research component to jointly develop a strategy, but also just to share commonly interest or to pool resources. So sometimes it's just to save money or to invest jointly in a certain project. That can be in terms of utilities, energy, but that can also be in terms of training of staff of different enterprises, but also, for example, to develop a certain technology and use it jointly within the cluster. The main outcomes of our study or small report is that it's very recent, of course, but that there are quite a lot of these clusters existing across the EU. They just identify themselves as a cluster, not at least as a mirror of the industrial cluster. It's important to state that many of those are cross-sectoral, so there are not only organizations in tourism, not only industrial manufacturing, not only, let's say, health providers. These social innovation clusters very much group different sectors, because that creates some kind of the unique combination of different approaches to fight a certain challenge or to arrive to a certain new format. They are usually very small, and job creation is one of the biggest priorities. For example, inclusion of persons with a distance to the labor market by a joint approach where they, for example, exchange employees to the right company for the specific profile. There are many of those, for example, in France, where there is a specific name, which is Pôle Territorial de Coopération Économique. So it's a cluster of territorial cooperation, economic cooperation, but with the goal always to boost this social innovation component and to boost also the, let's say, employment in the territory. So that is one example. Another one is Torino Social Impact, which is a very unique ecosystem that brings together for-profit and non-profit companies in a sort of local alliance that really has the ambition to improve economic, social, and ecological impact in the city and the surroundings of Torino. They provide a huge amount of services such as crowdfunding academy. They have a city lab where people can be supported in terms of startup, but also experiment with material from us, for example, supercomputing from research institutions. They focus a lot on bringing together for-profit companies to have them buy their services from social enterprises, and so on and so forth. And the last one is very specific and one of the most advanced, I would say, in terms of technology development. Just to show you that it can be very much service-oriented, but also very much oriented on technology and design. It's a Fireworks or Vierwerk in Dutch cluster. It's in Belgium. It's a group of, I think, 24 work integration social enterprise. So social enterprises employing people with distance to the labor market, mainly people with a handicap. And they have developed or are developing jointly a technology that helps those people to better execute their job and to be more productive. For example, on the right corner, you see a cobot, which is a collaborative robot. It's super expensive, but if you buy it and you develop or you adapt it together with 24 enterprises in a joint engineering lab, which they have set up, then it's way more cheaper, and then they adapt it always to the need of a specific enterprise. So that's another beautiful example of a social economy cluster or a cluster of social and ecological innovation. That's it. Here are all the links of what I have mentioned. Maybe it was a bit too much at this stage, but that's nothing I can change. But I'm still happy to answer questions or to have more targeted information if you wish. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Karel. I'm sure we all learned a lot. At least I not known much about all these details and about all these possibilities. So thank you very much. I will first raise the questions that we just received now, but there are also some that we received from the participants when we registered them. So I also have some more which are not visible at the moment, but let's start with these ones. So how do you see that the research institutes and universities, what kind of role can they have in these funding opportunities? I suppose if they can apply, or how far is it typical that they participate?
First of all, what type of funding opportunities do you mean? Because it really depends. The Commission has a huge amount of funding programs that, for example, Erasmus and Horizon Europe are the most relevant for research institutions, but also we in the single, for example, looking at the single market program or the EASY program for employment and social innovation, they rarely funding calls for expression, calls for proposal. Rarely they are excluding research institutions that they might not be the first target, but at least in the calls that we produce and write, we really promote the participation of research institutions, because that can bring a lot of added value in terms of innovation support. Usually a social enterprise is not has not an R&I department, so
they can really contribute with the knowledge
they are also having a big network. They can support, for example, in terms of business schools, for example, Usually social enterprises are not very advanced, and I cannot say the social enterprise. Of course, you have huge social enterprises that are employing thousands of people. They are, of course, functioning like every bureaucracy, like every corporate. They have procedures, they have systems in place to run such a big organization. But we will say that those are the majority within the social economy. Usually in the social economy, I would, some figures say even 95% and more of social enterprises are small SMEs. So not even average SME size, really like small companies. Those are, of course, struggling a lot to install, for example, digital processes, to invest. Yeah, if your only resources are, for example, public sources, or you have, for example, a hybrid model that you have also commercial activities, yeah, your main occupation is to keep your business alive and not to grow or to scale if your resources are limited. So all those companies can really have the support of organizations that can offer them some kind of access to research potential, and also to just business development. So that's where we also majorly focus our activities, is on capacity building, on supporting organizational development and excellence. So
I see a relevant question again about the funding. Sorry, but you are not muted, Tom. So then there was another question about clusters eligible for some funding from the EU, because they see again a sustainability issue there. But as far as I understand,
that's a particular issue for in DG Grow. We have a unit responsible for cluster policy. We have the European Cluster Collaboration Platform. Not every cluster is, of course, a legal entity, and that is indeed an issue. So, it's certainly not possible for every cluster to apply for European funding because there is no legal personality behind, which is, of course, a necessity for European funding. That's something we admit, but on the other hand, you also have to understand that we cannot engage with enterprises where there is no legal personality behind. So that's also a bit a type of a logic consequence. And it's also not really an issue in the sense that there is always a solution for that. All the clusters that really wanted to participate in a certain call, they always managed by one of the members, for example, where one of the members of the cluster, for example, taking the lead, and the cluster becomes some kind of an associated partner, or even not an official partner, but is in the end the driver behind the project. There are always ways to solve. It's not ideal. That's not what I'm saying, but I know this is an issue, certainly in clusters that are not mature, that have not set up a legal entity, a non-profit usually. Clusters are usually organized like a non-profit association, sometimes a cooperative even, sometimes a foundation. But if you have that, then of course the things can change. But that's not the fact for all. I'm very, when there is just a memory of understanding, of course, this is not a basis to apply for a grant. I hope you can also understand that. We regularly get that question.
But there is another one. It's a bit of a different topic about how to measure impact. Because at the beginning you said that, yeah, they don't produce GDP that much, but on the other hand, you also mentioned there is the impact price. So in one way or another, I suppose you have to judge the impact they.
They are very, this could be a topic on itself, to discuss how to measure impact. But the Commission invests a lot in systems to design, for example, what we are doing right now. We have launched last year a call to have impact measurement models and to link those to investment portfolios. So to boost this impact investment world and to make it some kind of visible and clear, and also to offer hand-on models on the market that allow impact investors to assess the potential impact of a future investment, so in a social enterprise, for example. So this is one of the actions that we are currently developing, and soon, hopefully, the first project will start. We have done a lot of research on different impact measurement models. The OECD, for example, has very interesting material in that sense, where we also collaborated and co-funded some of the projects. But that also depends on how do you want to picture that. Some of the social enterprises, communities, they say you always have to monetize. If you are able to monetize your impact, then governments, then investors can understand, they can listen. Others say we totally disagree because monetizing should not be the driver to invest in your company. Fair enough, we don't make a judgment about that, but it's also depends on what purpose it wants to serve. Of course, if your purpose is to attract investment, then maybe monetizing your impact might be the best way to go, because then you can also show what a real, you have a sort of comparable metrics. But if it's to convince, for example, a public authority of the societal benefit that you create, then maybe the public authority is interested in knowing how many people you employ, how much loneliness you are fighting. How do you measure that? There are different ways in all these different subsets, from housing to well-being to employment to whatever. So all these systems exist. So it's also a bit choosing the right one in the right context. That is for sure something I learned.
So in a way, you measure the impact compared to their own objectives, because you also give this prize. So I'm just wondering then, what do you have a look at?
Well, in the competition itself, it depends also on the topic. So the topic, for example, if it's on energy poverty, then I think, don't shoot me if I'm wrong, but it's not me that organizes the competition, but I had understood that they, for example, look at metrics that calculate the drop for the customers of the project in terms of the energy bill annually, for example. And so, but that is super specific to a certain initiative. You cannot apply that to another. Yeah, you can apply that on a bill for training and education, for example. Yes. If your ambition is to improve access to school and to drop the bills of school, but this is monetized measuring, because you calculate. But you could also, for example, apply it to measuring how much people are ill because of not sufficient heating. That's a metric that is not really monetized, but there you measure, for example, 1 year without the intervention, 1 year or one group with intervention, how much people are getting ill because they are not sufficiently heating their house. There is mold, whatever. So it's two different ways to deal. I don't know how it was done in the competition, but I think it was partly done by the energy bill.
Okay, thank you for these very concrete examples. Help a lot to understand, I think. But now there is a very proactive question that what can we do for you? I mean, the universities and research institutions. So how can we promote the social economy concept?
Yeah, I think universities have a huge potential to promote social entrepreneurship, because many of them have business schools. Many of them have also, and that is what we see in the most advanced universities, they some kind of promote entrepreneurship as a sort of bottom line principle in all their masters and in all their curricula. And so it's not just in the business school, it's basically pushing the sense of entrepreneurship in every direction that a student can choose within a university. And then, of course, make it also known to those that there is such a thing as social entrepreneurship, which is a very specific type of business that you will set up. And I have also seen it in the questions that I got beforehand. Yeah, of course, it's a business, something that a non-profit also makes profit. So that is like... I find it always so strange that I have to explain to people that a non-profit makes profit. Oh, that's not possible. Yeah, of course, it just doesn't give it away to shareholders. There's another governance model behind, obviously. But those companies also need to pay the bills at the end of the month, so there need to be a resource. So these different models should be much more trained in universities. We are making also alliances of universities that have a specific interest in, let's say, teaching social entrepreneurship, social economy, business models. So that is certainly something that universities can do. If you look at Mondragon, which is the most advanced, of course, promoting the cooperative movement in the best country in Spain, they have really this bottom line everywhere. But there are certainly others that have very advanced promotion of social innovation methodologies and practices, but also the entrepreneurial model that is behind.
Yes, I have now a question about competitiveness and the Draghi report. So if do you know anything if Draghi mentions social economy or
No,
does he? Oh, don't worry.
don't mention the war. No, he didn't. And yeah, it's recorded. I will not say it.
Okay. Okay. Actually, you mentioned something
but
about.
maybe
Yes.
Maybe the Draghi report didn't mention social economy as such, even though there are a lot of indirect links to activities of social economy, for example, with health, access to care, improvement of care facilities, graying of society. So indirectly, social economy is playing a huge role in many of these different challenges that he put forward. That's one thing. But there is also something like the LETA report, which is a few months older, on the future of the single market. And there, social economy is mentioned a lot.
I see.
Also in different identities, for example, related to procurement, that the governments have the responsibility to procure more directly towards social enterprises because they have an direct interest to also support society. They have the general benefit in their identity. So there is a kind of a responsibility to promote more social clauses, for example, to employ more people with disabilities within enterprises through those procurement contracts, but also to improve more social innovation practices, and so on and so forth. So that's one thing. Another thing is the right to stay, for example. Again, social economy plays a huge role when it's coming to social housing, offering of housing, decent housing. And the right to stay is a big issue because people can sometimes not stay in their, let's say, environment or their city because the prices are too high or there is no job anymore. So there's the double direction. So you have the brain drain effect, but you have also the gentrification effect. So those things are very much related to social economy, and the social economy concept is also specifically mentioned in the LETA report. So that's a very...
Oh, and it was not that long ago, so I remember LETA also.
I certainly recommend to have a look at that as well.
Thank you so much. And you mentioned this under the call for pledges, this matchmaking tool. And I'm wondering, is it a matchmaking only in between all these stakeholders which are part of the social economy? Or let's say if there is a group who would then miss maybe one player, can you also support to find
There are two stages. So you have seen the flower with the 14 industrial ecosystems, right? We are now building a platform where each of the ecosystem has a specific space with information about funding, information about pure projects, policies, initiatives that are relevant to the social economy, but also driven by information coming from the stakeholders themselves, and also thematic spaces for collaboration. For example, the calls that we are doing on building capacity for social enterprises, that we bring those projects also together in the platform so that they can exchange. But this is existing for every ecosystem. And in the second term, we also want to facilitate more collaboration between different ecosystems because there is, of course, many potential for collaboration between them. I have to admit, this is a kind of longer term perspective, so it will not be for the first months, but I have good hopes that the first platform will be online in 1 month, and then we can already start.
So it's really happening.
Within the system, yeah.
Maybe one more last question, because then we reached the end of the first part, but thank you. I think you really give us a lot of information. So there was a previous question about evaluation. So that is it not really complicated because these must be really many times very interdisciplinary or transdisciplinary concepts. So usually when you have to evaluate all these proposals or projects, then do you find this a difficulty or it's not a big issue?
No, it's not an issue. I will not.
Then you should help the Horizon, by the way.
Yeah, but the Horizon is, of course, a very different program. To a certain extent, the bar of excellence in terms of research capacity is much higher, which I can understand, and there are also safeguards necessary there. But I don't.
So on this level, this is not a big problem. That's we envy you.
No,
for one thing.
what we, for example, are very attentive for in evaluations is the true knowledge about the sector, for example, and also not the sort of one-catch-all type of approach. We with our project want to solve all issues within the social economy. There is no such thing as the social economy. You have energy cooperatives, you have social enterprise and circular economy, you have mobility associations, you have philanthropic organizations that want to eradicate energy poverty, homelessness, food poverty. These are totally different type of entities, and you can support multitude of them, but then you need to show us that you know what their constraints are, what their issues are, what their innovation needs are, how their business models are designed, and then we know if you really know what we are talking about. But if you tell us that we will solve the social economy in the EU and we will train them all, yeah, then it's very likely that we will not accept it. And by the way, I'm not guessing that. We have external evaluators for that. So we have also multidisciplinary evaluators that are coming from the business perspective, that are with a specific social innovation background. Last year, we had, for example, a huge call on promoting digitization within social economy. What did we ask? You need to focus on a specific type of social enterprise, a specific sector, and even specific regions where there is a specific need for support. There are three requirements that you already had to be capable of putting forward. If you cannot do that, then you will already fail. And then, of course, we also check what type of digital approaches you want to implement and why these are applicable to your sector. So I cannot say that the projects that are getting through our calls, and I'm not only talking about the single market program, are nonsense. I think that is really appropriate, selected, that we really find the right partners, also scattered and decentral, so meaning that we find partners in the member states and not European organizations only. I see very qualitative projects, to be honest. So that the evaluation is also properly done, because that's for sure.
So thank you so much. Actually, I also just want to, as a final thought, I really like your introductory part when you mentioned that, because I do believe we have a lot of valuable initiatives and activities, but apparently we still do not use what is available on the European level. So thank you for
yeah, it's really a concern. I need to be honest, because it's not easy for us to engage. We have an avalanche of contacts with Spanish, Italian, French, Greek, Belgian social enterprises. They are reaching us very, very well. But for some countries like the Baltic, Central Eastern European countries, also Greek sometimes is also not very easy, Cyprus, etc. These are smaller countries, but yeah, that's why we really want to invest more. In 2 weeks, I go to Gdansk in Poland for the social economy congress. So we really want to reach out more to these countries, because we don't have them enough connected.
Thank you so much. We will also do our best. This is what we can
you can always contact me, yeah, for events, or if you want to have information, or my email, I can share it in the chat, and it's not a big deal for me. We are here to help as much as we can.
Thank you. That's very kind. And thank you once again for your time and for all this wide range of information. We really learned a lot. So thank you very much. I don't know if you can stay to listen to the good examples, but we will.
Yeah, I will stay for half an hour.
Great. Okay, so you can hear a bit about the landscape of our countries. So I very shortly just invite our panelists. So we have 4 panelists for today. Thank you, Karel, and see you soon. I'm sure we will continue. So Miss Simona Šimulite, she is coming from Lithuania. She is founder and CEO of the European Social Entrepreneurship and Innovative Studies Institute. Then we have Ms. Réka Matolai, head of Corvinus Science Shop in the Corvinus University of Budapest, Hungary. Then we have Mr. Andrei Klimchuk, who is assistant professor in the Department of Social Policy in the Warsaw School of Economics. from Poland. And last but not least, from Slovenia, we have Ms. Urška Bitens, who is head of the Social Economy Division, Ministry of Economy, Tourism and Sport. So we have really a diverse group of panelists. And I would like to ask you first to shortly speak about what is happening in your countries, and then we might even follow this order. So first, our colleague from Lithuania. So Simona, please, the floor is yours for a quick introduction of the landscape in Lithuania.
Thank you. Yes, if you're talking about Lithuania, so I would say that situation has changed during COVID or immediately after COVID has started. And before, we had very high-level miscommunication. What is social economy? What are social enterprises? What are social businesses? What are social innovations? And what is social corporate social responsibility? There was always very big mix and like misunderstanding on every corner. I would say that on the hands of traditional business, okay, let's call it traditional businesses as we understand, and normal startups ecosystem as well. All those social businesses were considered as outsiders because we had a law, what a social enterprise at that time. And at that time, it was just disabled people and unemployed people and all social vulnerable groups. And so this made the sense of that social business and whatever it would be social innovations are was considered as those. So I was pretty lucky because I come from, personally me, I come from traditional business for years, and then I have started 15 years ago to talk about social economy and social impact especially, and to organize events for startups to create good and tech for good, as we always called it. Yeah, so I was lucky because everybody knew me from traditional business and traditional business ecosystem. So I was not that outsider. But in general, if we talk about the whole landscape, it was like this. After COVID started, and immediately when COVID started, all businesses, despite whatever it is, started to talk about the impact. And every startup, because I am running my self-acceleration programs, which are for social innovators. And as I told already, we are calling Tech for Good, and also mentoring for startups and other acceleration programs and different events like hackathons and etc. So I really noticed that before it was like Simona who is always asking like, so there is the impact, and now like everybody started like their pitches from the social part. So in this period, I would say that everything is so mixed that even if we do not call it that it's social economy actors, because the social business model, let's say, it's not, but the product itself more and more. And now when we are collecting applications and selecting who will be selected for to participate in acceleration program, everybody like is putting the pillar of social. Of course, it can be related, and me myself, I work in this field a lot. It can be related with the ESG and the regulation of reporting sustainability and impact report. And more companies are already reporting for society, even if we do not need to do that. There is a problem which I see. Everything is like, as you know, marketing is the king. So what I feel and what I detect that a lot of impacts are more based on marketing. And it's not that I really want to do that. I really feel that it's needed, and this is like this is our company's values are based on. That's why we are building this. But it's more, I am doing this because it is worth. So as an
topic or sexy topic.
Yeah, as an expert, I would say that everything what we are doing just because it is worth or everybody is asking for it, it's the short term. You will never have and build sustainable business if you are doing just because it's worth. Because now it is, but we live in very vibrant times, so every day things can change. So on one hand, I see it very positive. What's here? I see it very positive. On another hand, I still feel a little bit sad because I see a lot of brainwashing in all Baltics and not only and beyond. But on the third hand, which is not visible, I would say that more and more we are working towards onto, even we are doing it just because it is worth. We are at the same time getting addicted into it. Records stays in our minds, and kind of we are reprogramming our brains. And of course, I'm very happy that Gen Z, which is coming, they better do nothing if there is any purpose or a mission or whatever. So they already have a little bit different behavior, different, how to say, consumers level, and it's sometimes I joke that you need to, let's say, dig the snow in the winter, but if you postpone, spring is coming, and then you do not need to do that. So then we are talking about social economy. I feel like we are waiting for the spring because the generation which is coming, and they are already economy players. They are a little bit different mindset. Okay,
thank you so much, Simona, for first introduction. So, and I give the floor to Reka. I think Reka even has some slides to share with us very shortly. So, if somebody
maybe not
can...
in this round. You know, we
so
said that maybe it's in the
okay.
Okay. Thank you, Agata, so much. And thank you, Simona, for your introduction. It reminded me some of the things I almost forgot to speak. So actually, let me also start with my background, and it is going to be a very personal sort of look into the Hungarian field. I'm coming from management studies, and I first met social entrepreneurs as a student and then a journalist in the 1990s, when I was working with Ashoka Fellows, you know, those selected social entrepreneurs who were awarded by this fellowship. And this also means that I'm very much interested in, ever since, in the individuals, all those innovative persons who are ready to, you know, stand up and do something, even though I'm not very much keen on following the heroic social entrepreneur track. So this means that I'm maybe not having a macro view about it. And I also wanted to remind us that probably the last major study on Hungary, about social entrepreneurship, not social innovation, but if we stay with the social entrepreneurship idea, was published 5 years ago as a country report, and I would like to call your attention to that. It's written by Julikis and Melinda Mihai, and it's a very comprehensive study about Hungary. And I'm not going to the details of that for sure. But what I would like to have a word on is maybe related to a question Karel received. That what is the the role of universities, and Karel was answering about the business schools, and I'm coming from a business school, but I also would like to tell you that I'm very much appreciating those tendencies in Hungary where other sort of disciplines are getting into to let's call it social innovation. For instance, the University of Art and Design is doing social design with maybe social business outcomes. Where Orsi is coming from, having not only a social innovation lab together with other universities, but also they are having a community studies, which is getting into this field. And I myself, as a lecturer in social entrepreneurship and social innovation, I really hope that our business students of Corvinus are inspired by existing social entrepreneurs in a way that they are ready to think about their future as one of the supporters or themselves being social entrepreneurs. And we are also very proud of the fact that there are social startups coming out of the university, like for the Hungarians, Munch will be familiar, which is fighting food waste in a digital manner and in a collaborative manner, and now it has actually scaled up to an international level. So this educational field is one element I'd like to mention, and the other one is that if I am in the field for more than 30 years, of course, I have seen many things in a way, but I really enjoy how social innovation gets into various beneficiaries. So more and more social problems and social groups are captured or targeted. Maybe it's not the nicest word, but somehow benefits from social innovation, and how more and more sectors, as a business person would say, included, from food to housing, from energy to many other things. And this is why I also would like to refer back to the sentence of Karel saying that there is no one social economy, because I completely agree that it is really diverse. And what the members of this scene are very sort of proud of and happy about is that the organizational field, or in another term, ecosystem, is broadening, widening. More and more agents, actors are involved. I was sort of becoming sarcastic when I saw more and more consultants in the field and mentors and accelerators and incubators and business developers, because that showed that this is probably going to be fancy, hopefully not a fad, a business fad or a management fad. And I also see some of them now leaving the scene. So there is a dynamic change, a fluctuation in the field as well. And this fluctuation also means that we were also facing some very sad closing down of some of the very prominent social enterprises and social innovations. Last year there was one exact story which I guess really shocked the entire industry, that if they are closing down, then that's a thing. So the fluctuation is there, but fluctuation is there with innovation. So I don't want to make it relativized, or what is the verb, but it is there. And maybe I'm finishing with the thing I learned now from Simona, the impact. And we also see the impact coming up on as a story. And my slides, what Agota were mentioning, is going to refer to my close work. And there we are working with a lot of community partners, as we call them. And at the university, we receive more and more requests for impact measurement of these partners, who are actually facing very diverse pressures for impact measurement, for sure.
No, the slides will come in the second
question. But yes, thank you. I was a bit mixing up, but these are the slides. Thank you.
And it was full screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Rika, for also, in a way, reacting on the others, because I think that makes the panel discussion more exciting. Now I give the floor to Andrzej for a short introduction of the Polish scene.
Yes, hello. Thank you for the invitation. Actually, when I was listening to your voices, basically, I was thinking, oh my God, that's like sounds like echo what is happening in Poland. So actually, the situation is not that much different. Actually, I have a maybe I'm always skeptical and a little bit critical about everything. So sorry, I will say a lot of, let's say, bad things, unfortunately. So basically, you know, on the one hand, my perspective on the social economy comes from the fact that I'm a teacher at the university, and at the same time, I do the research on the social economy for more than 10 years now. And on the second hand, I was a vice president of an NGO in a couple of boards of the foundations, basically, that are in the in this industry. So I also see the problems from the practice or some challenges, let's say. So I think a little bit differently sometimes on the topic. So on the one hand, so I will not repeat the things that my colleague says already, because I completely agree that the same things are already happening in Poland. Maybe one thing that strikes me after listening, but basically, you know, we have all the policies, we have all the legislation in place in Poland. There is plenty of it, you know, and the problem is that, you know, when I'm teaching the students, and I'm mainly teaching the not social innovation and not social entrepreneurship, because we don't have such a course any longer. And my students are not interested that much, you know, to go in this direction, you know, and the question is why? Because I was always thinking, why is that, you know? And actually, there is so many regulations that they have to pass through, you know, to get into the social economy, that they don't want to get through it because it's too complex for them to understand how to get in, basically. So that's the one thing. And the second thing, actually, I don't think we are doing enough, you know, to invite them to the scene. So basically, you know, we have plenty of NGOs and social enterprises in Poland that are going for like more than 20 years, some even for 50, 60 years, but that's like really traditional entities. And some entities that are just like happening because they simply notice that there is plenty of European money available, and that's how they show up, basically. Maybe they will disappear sooner or later. Unfortunately, that happens. But, you know, how to make these subsectors of the social economy attractive for the young people, I don't know, basically. I don't see explanation for that, and basically I see the challenge is that there is some kind of like a generational gap in the sector, that it's not that much attractive for the young people. You know, my students are much more interested in creating the startups in ICT companies, AI stuff and things like that, than going into direction of helping the other people, basically. They don't see the attractiveness of that kind of stuff, basically.
But Andrzej, sorry to interrupt. You
yeah.
said you don't teach such subjects anymore, but then previously you did then?
Yes, but you know, I will not go into details how that happens, but basically, you know, the students are selecting the topics, and if there is not enough students, you know, who want to learn about civil society, NGOs and things like that, then the courses are not running, basically, right? So basically, you know, even before they enter to the university, if they don't know what is the civil society and social economy, etc., then they cannot basically select the topic because they don't know anything about that. They don't have the competences or the skills to select it. So, you know, at the start, they don't know it, so they don't select it because it's unknown area, right? And if you ask them why they are not selecting that, then they are replying because it's too complex for us, right?
Simona might also react shortly, but really shortly.
We already started the discussion. Yeah, so actually, I also teach at university master students, sustainable innovations and solutions. The problem which Angie reflects about regulations, blah, 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 I totally agree. I was the one, even if I was one of the founders of Lithuanian Social Business Association, I was against the law because I know that it complicates. But actually, what I heard, what Angie is telling, that he is talking about social economy as about and more about NGO. But then we talk about social economy, there is like social innovations behind, and it can be a very promising business. It does not necessarily needs to be so NGO. It can be for profit.
But this is what Andrzej said, that in a way people do not really know what it would be about. So then this might be the reason that they don't even know.
But this is our mission as professors. Of course, in Lithuania we have very good situation at in schools during economic lessons, because everybody is inviting practitioners, like all teachers are inviting practitioners to schools to pitch. I am as well running social enterprise, which is not social enterprise for sure. It is social. Okay, it has very big social mission. It is social innovation, but it's not NGO business model. So NGO is NGO. So that this is still the biggest problem is that until now we do not have a common understanding about mission, impact, and social economy, that for this, under this roof, everybody can fit. So
Yes, thank you. Then please, Andrzej, just continue.
Yeah, basically, but anyway, the numbers are basically, from the statistics office, are telling you that actually the social economy is like a very, very niche part of the economy, unfortunately. So basically, it looks like, it's like 1% to other people, voices of other people. So like 99% of the society don't even know that something like that is possible, that you can create the social enterprise actually, and it not changing that much, even if I don't know how much money, European funding or any other funding will pump it into the field. Like common people don't know that much that this is possible, that you can basically, instead of create a normal enterprise, you can create a, for example, cooperative, right? So just explain this to like common people. Most of the people don't even know that this exists, So of course, because we are all from the Central Eastern Europe countries, of course, a lot of people have this like a very, very stereotypic understanding what the social economy is, which is not, let's say, the same as in the Western Union, that the cooperatives are like the past from the socialistic regime, let's say. That was something that was forced in some sectors, and people think that this is like extremely outdated way of managing things, basically only in like a special fields, like. And this, until I think that until this, let's say, image, it's not changed, we can really invest so much money into all the types of innovations, any challenges in this field, clustering, etc. So I really appraise what was in the presentation of the Karel Vanderpoorten. Then because I agree with all the things that was there, is all those challenges, we need to face them in Poland as well. But until we have this, image of this whole social economy as it is, much will change this definitely. So I think that this is the main challenge, So basically, summing up, unfortunately, topics like startups, AI, etc., are winning, and soon you will not see that much, young people, who are interested in doing anything in this field, because they are interested in something else. Sorry.
No,
Thanks.
no, it's very interesting to see also this perspective, because this might explain why in these countries there are less activities or less visible activities. Now I give the floor to Urška for a quick introduction of the Slovenian landscape. Maybe we have another viewpoint from there.
Thank you and hello. I think everything that was said can be applicable to Slovenia also, but maybe the main issue here is because it was also mentioned by Karel that social innovation can be produced by any organization or individual. So it is important to know that if we are talking about impact and social innovation, it is a hype, like it was said by a Lithuanian colleague. It is very interesting for young people, and we have many awards and many startups who are making progress. And with progress, like the social innovation is a byproduct of their activity, actually. Maybe they're not focused on the impact, I mean the social impact and the innovation, but in the course of their action and their business models, social innovation emerges, and they're happy about it because it adds value to their product. But if we are talking about social economy, maybe there is some links to Polish story, because in Slovenia, the social economy sector is like comparable to youth sector. It represents, like, for example, 10% of the all organizations or the entities on the market, but mostly it is combined by NGOs. So they have firstly their mission to serve their members and to serve their social goals. So since they are SMEs, they don't have capacity to develop new products, or maybe they don't even have capacity to, improve their products on the market. So social innovation is not their main objective.
This was again a new perspective. It was really interesting to see, but okay, your backgrounds are also different. So I now would like to ask you to give one concrete example, which can be regarded as a success story, hopefully, from your own experience. And let's have another round then with Simona starting.
Yeah, could you repeat the question?
So one very concrete success story, maybe from either from your own professional career or from your country, if it's not really connected to your own professional career, but I'm sure you have something very personal.
On social innovations, you mean,
exactly.
Right?
Yes.
Okay, so there are plenty,
but let's start with one.
Yeah, there are plenty, but now I'm trying to decide which one of two. Okay, might be I will tell about very niche thing, less innovative, but more understandable, definitely for everybody. Usually nowadays we see a lot of communities which are focused to women. Women helps each other, so women support groups and etc. So everything is about women, like women world. As a mom of son, I really care about what's going on in men's world. Yeah, so that was just a joke, but we have one startup in Lithuania, which is social business and passed through our social acceleration program and is growing crazy, but really crazy. So a couple of years ago, when we launched the acceleration for social businesses, one psychologist, very modest one, knocked to my phone. It was COVID. And he told me the story that he's thinking about initiating some kind of support group for men. And he has a methodology because he is working in very small circle, and he see that there is the proof of concept, but he would like to initiate much bigger let's say initiative and to develop social business and spread it. And it was called by Lithuanian word tribes. It's tribe, total translation of like men tribe. And we participated in hackathon. 4 psychologists as co-founders, they joined. And they were invited to take part in acceleration program. Acceleration program lasts 3 months, 12 weeks. And we had a plan and 3 additional months already where you already need to show your revenue and etc. etc. So they have started on September, and before New Year's, during one of catch-ups, then startups, we told where we are, how we implemented what we planned, and etc. Instead of planned 2 tribes, we had 14 tribes. And at the end of the first part of acceleration programs, which is 3 months, they already became profitable. That means, and now we are not only in Lithuania. During acceleration program, we reached out even to Irish Lithuanian community, to United States Lithuanian community. Now we are spreading and spreading. Now we changed already, and the branding, we are organizing once a year men festival. We're just men, or men with their sons, or with daddies or whatever, but no women allowed. And it's very and managed and mindful. And as their message is always that official like men do not cry, but we do. And we do suffer when we divorce, and they really want to share it with someone, but we do not feel safe because what others they will say if you are, let's say, yeah. So their business model now, what we are doing, we are preparing facilitators. We are selling facilitators trainings. We prepare facilitators. Every facilitator has own tribe, and those tribes are growing and growing and growing, because if it is more, let's say, than 10 people, it's already too much. So,
okay.
Yeah. So that's very successful and from scratch, like, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, but time is really running, so we also need to give the floor to the others. So then, Reka, please. Then now the slides are coming.
Yes, thank you so much. Although I might have been a bit overacting this with the slides, but sorry for that. And why the slides are coming through, because if, as I know, somebody else is going to open the slides for me, is let me very quickly say that social farming, for instance, is a huge success story in Hungary. In a very short period of time, they were able to institutionalize it from the first concept. So social farming is one of the success stories.
So we can ask Anya in the meantime to share the slides.
And social housing.
Yes, the slides are on the way. Sorry, there has been a small hiccup here.
Okay,
I'm talking. And social housing is the other one, which is a very recent development. So in Budapest, a social housing agency is set up. So I guess that's a huge sort of innovation by a civil society organization initiating it, the from street to home, CSO, together with a research organization, and they were able to reach out to a public organization, the local municipality of Budapest, and this housing agency is going to come through. I guess that's something of a very interesting co-creation collaboration process. And if there is still a hiccup, I may start. We will have the hiccup anyhow.
We will share your slides anyway, so then people can have a look.
Shall I share it then, me?
Yes, please, because there is something wrong with my laptop at the moment. Sorry about that.
Okay. And
it worked initially, but not now.
Yeah. Dear participants, this is the best thing we can show you. We somehow are unable technically to enlarge it to the full screen, but I try to make it as big as possible.
Great.
So I'm going to promote a bit ourselves as the science shop of the Corvinus University. And this is, I guess, something which is, even though it is having a history, the science shop has histories, but I do believe it is in itself could be a social innovation. So what I would like to tell you about is how it is in itself as a social innovation process, and how a science shop contributes to the social innovation of our community partners. Let me give you some examples of that. And for that, just very briefly, I need to introduce that what the science shop does. Actually, it connects faculty and students with somebody who we call community partners. And you see the data from the last academic year on the left. We had these many lecturers, community partners, and students in the game to give a response to the questions of the community. Thus, I suppose, contribute to social innovation. And I also would like to flip this model briefly, although probably all of you know it. We were giving an updated version of it with our co-authors, the Köves et al. 2020 is a newer version. And I'm showing this to you because, as you see, it is showing a scale from the charity to the pure profit-oriented organization, and financial value creation is growing to the right, and social value creation is growing to the left. And whom we are working with in a science shop is on the left. And I guess it goes back to what was discussed earlier, that who the heck are the agents in social innovation. And actually, I know that it is a problem for the members of the field that there is no clarity. So, for instance, for the Hungarian social enterprises, the definitional problem is still there. But I am and what I'm teaching is about a more allowing, that there could be a diversity of various actors who are doing that. And let me briefly go to my main idea. And for that, as a lecturer, I cannot miss a model. So I took here the model of the transformative social innovation, which actually captures social innovation as a process which changes institutions. But here I'm not talking about the institutional level changes, but more like the petals of this flower, that the ways of social innovation which create new social relations and new knowing, new doing, new framing, and new organizing. And I'd like to give you some example for those, and this is going to be the good examples of the field as well. And the new knowing at the science shop, and why I believe that the science shop is offering a social innovation process, is the following. By engaging in our community engaged learning and research processes, the science shop supports, and for which we connect the various participants, bringing the community partners to ask questions and ask lecturers and students to work on the answer. Actually is a process which allows university citizens to learn about social impact of organizations, and also social impact of higher education through this interaction with the community partner. And this is a new knowledge in the university. So this is a kind of a new knowing the science shop generates, not only through theory, but also the experience of working with the community partners. And for the science shop partners, the various NGOs and social enterprises, we are providing this in a co-learning, mutual learning process, which entails course projects, thesis, so research and education. And I may give another example, and probably I finish it because I will use all the time of the rest of the session. But let's think about the new organizing, which was another petal. And from a science shop point of view, why we believe it is being a social innovation, because on the one hand, at our university, it was a bottom-up initiative. So it was not the regular university type of setting up a department or a research office or something. But lecturers were actually very committed to this way of pedagogical methodology, and they were striving through, and we were the co-founders of the science shop, which survived the many changes of the university so far. So, fingers crossed for the rest of our history. And it is also a new way of organizing, because we are actually generating partnerships partnership, we are very non-hierarchical, and you could see my dyslexia on this slide as well. Sorry, non-hierarchical. We really go for horizontal relationship with the external partners, and we really see their knowledge as valuable as the academic knowledge. So we understand and appreciate the diversity of knowledge types, and it is non-monetized. So our name is a shop, but there is no money involved in it. So it is completely for free. And if we look at a social innovation process at our partners, of organizing, I brought here the volunteering, and I know volunteering is not a new thing, but actually volunteering and building an organization and volunteering in a way that it is feasible in the long run, I guess that's a challenge. And if organizations are able to do it, that's a sort of a social innovation. And we have partners, for instance, the Amigos for Children, or the In the House, or the Bagage. These are various, mostly children-oriented organizations, which were able to set up a volunteering basis and organizing their volunteers in a way that they are committed in the long term. So they're not disappearing, they are returning to the field. They really become amigos, friends of the kids. So the relationship is mutual and permanent to a certain time. And for them, volunteering is what they do, and that's their social innovation. And how we support them as Science Shop is, for instance, with impact measurement, or thinking about services which could generate income for them. So, this is my idea about successful social innovations. And if you are interested in the new framing and the new doing, there are some more things on these slides, but probably you are going to receive it, and I stop sharing.
We are happy to share them, yes, because I'm really impressed that you are doing a lot. So thank you for sharing, Reka. And I hope that even if Andre is a bit more pessimistic, he still has something also as a success story to be shared.
Yes, I will be also very, very short on that, so we'll have more time, but I will share the screen also to show you something. So basically, I will not risk the statement that Polish people like, the innovations, social innovations based on something material, but actually that's how it works, that in the last couple of years, some of the innovations that have been very, very popular are actually material. So the two of them, okay? Two examples. The one is so-called a koperta życia, so it's like like a letter with data of the patient, for example, or the older people, that you put into the mail, let's say, letter, and you put them, for example, in the fridge in your home. In case, that if something happens and, for example, your, data with the medical, let's say, prescriptions, medicine, etc., will be needed, then the emergency staff will know where to search it, that it will be, for example, in the fridge. Everyone have the fridge in the home, right? Or, for example, under the TV or something like that, but it's literally said in the instructions, put there in the fridge. So some municipalities and let's say local communities also adapted that. So for example, this is another example. So they adapted the letters into boxes. So you put the data into box, also maybe some medication, and the instruction for the team, for example, the medical staff or any other like a police officers, etc., with your basic data, who you have to contact with, and what kind of things you are taking, etc. So it's even better because it's in a box, so you can even put it even in more safe space, and it's red, for example, so it's easy to find. Another example, also material, very one, but this one is I have to underline this one. The letter is actually patented in the patent office, so it's like one thing. And officially, it's more than like 500 institutions who joined this action. So they give this to the citizens if they ask that they need something like that, right? Another action of social innovation like that, maybe you have something like that in your countries, I don't know. It's called Różowa skrzyneczka, so it's like a pink box, or like a tiny pink box, but it's not that tiny actually. And it's run by the foundation from Wrocław, from Poland. So officially they say that they have like more than 10,000 of these boxes already installed in various places in Poland. And as you can assume, there are tampons and any other, menstrual stuff for the mostly women, basically. So it's mostly installed close to the toilets in the institutions. So the aim behind that was that, to fight with the so-called tampon tax and like a menstrual poverty. Because of course there are some people who don't have the money for the menstrual stuff, basically. So for example, we have these things in the universities or in libraries, in offices, etc. Basically, mostly in like a public spaces where you can find something like that. So I think it's a very, very big success actually, because actually what they are selling is actually a box that you can install somewhere and you can put the stuff there. So it's nothing extremely, let's say, radically innovative, but in the sense of what is changing, I think it's really innovative, because it tackles a very taboo topic, that some people don't have the money to buy the hygienic products that can be, for example, for free, but actually they are taxed like normal goods, which is crazy, right? Yeah.
Thank you. No, these were really good examples. I was smiling in the background. Thank you so much. And then Ushka, maybe you also can impress us with some good examples.
I was thinking about one which developed due course of the project that we financed, because the last year we started with the public tenders for social economy periodically. And the initial idea of the applicant was to connect farmers in the rural areas to help breed the cocoons which are producing silk. So they would reintroduce silk production in Slovenia, which was prominent in like Middle Ages here. But since the organization who led the project got like rejected by let's say some of the members of local communities, because they kind of felt threatened that they would steal their tradition of growing silk and needed trees for the production of the cocoons. They had to adjust to the new situation. So they actually linked themselves with the Greek producers of the cocoons, and they were and with universities, and they actually found out that the silk can be used also in the medical purposes, not just in textile. And it's very valued because it's super applicable to many medical procedures. So because of the local, let's say, riot against their activities, they actually found a new way to, use a very old traditional method and to develop something that will be used in a very high-tech medical purposes. So so I think this is very nice, presentation of how like bad, let's say, bad karma can produce social innovation.
Yeah, so they didn't give it up. That I think for all these initiatives, you really have to be committed and push your agenda forward. But I think without commitment, it's really impossible. So this is definitely a field where, but it's these were really different examples. So I was happy to hear them, and maybe a very short final round, but just in one or two sentences, and then we might have some reactions from the audience. So how do you see, because you also said this was a hype at the moment, but how do you see the future? So do you think that it will rather increase the interest for these solutions, or it will stagnate, or it will just fluctuate further? So now let's do it the other way around. So what do you think, Urška? How do you see the future of this of social innovation?
I don't want to be rude to European Commission, but let's be clear that social innovation is something that is common to Homo sapiens. I mean, like, if there would be no social innovation, we would not develop. So they put, or somebody put the name on the, you know, like a concept of social innovation. But if we want to thrive as a community and society, we do need social innovation. Even like if we don't support it with the projects, it will emerge because we need it to survive. We have to adapt. We have climate change. We have other, you know, catastrophes all over the world. So we need social innovation just to adapt to new situation.
Thank you. Thank you. That was a nice statement. Then Andrei?
Yes, basically, you know, I can sum up as I started actually in the same way, but that basically, you know, if we want to have any future of the social economy in Central and Eastern Europe, then we have to do something about making it attractive for the younger people, basically, because I cannot see other way, you know, grow in these fields. And also, maybe then I will also highlight what Karel said at the beginning. I completely agree that, you know, we have to somehow focus on very, very niche subsectors of the social economy and make them attractive, basically, and visible. So in these cases that I showed you with this pink box and the letter box, let's say, they are very visible, although I think that most of the people have no idea that this is part of the social economy and that someone's in the social economy invented that, basically. So the goal, you know, is to basically create something that is visible. The people don't have to know that it's coming from the social economy, but then it will be success, you know, if it's working basically and making profit and creating jobs. I will even say more that, for example, in my region where I live in Poland, actually the most important, you know, cooperatives that are existing actually, no, the people don't even know that they are cooperatives because they are, you know, producing food basically, like a water, etc., and they don't care that it's not normal SMEs, that it's a cooperative basically, you know, in a massive scale actually. Nobody cares about that. The people think about the final product, which is water, for example, krynka, or yes, that will be in Polish language. Sorry, because I don't know what is in English. Pasztet Podlaski, for example, which is completely from cooperative food sector. So, and most of the people don't know about that.
We need to educate a bit and also change perspective.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe like some kind of, you know, extra program for branding of the social economy, because you know, it's good to make a lot of networking, clustering, etc., but maybe branding itself is needed. Okay,
then
thank you.
let's hear something from Reka. They might also work with branding in the shop.
I mean, I myself don't find anything more interesting than this, in whatever way we call it. And I also pretty much understand with Urška, I don't think that there is future without this. And I actually agree with Andrei as well, because we have difficulties to sell this to students. If it's in Hungarian, my master class on social entrepreneurship has not been run in the past 5 years. My BA class on social business is actually very popular. So I don't think that one word is and the level of studies makes the difference, but somehow it must be taken attractive for sure. I sometimes wonder that the social business class is full because there are a lot of communication students. Do they believe that this is about social media business? I don't know, hopefully not. but
We are surprised.
but actually in this, so yeah, I do hope we can make it attractive. And if Andrzej was mentioning startups, our students are using the social startup expression, and they are doing that. So that is one way to go.
Thank you, thank you. And finally, but of course not least, Simona, what would you say about the future? What are your predictions?
If you're talking about future, actually, I think that this line, social and not social, will disappear totally. And the social economy will be the new economy, because 99% will do that. Because as I told in the very, very beginning, I see as the practitioner that more and more startups, more and more business are reorientating themselves, of course, with a small push of regulations about impact and ESG measures and everything. So this now it is very tangible line, and we still, for so many years, can't agree, and we have still the miscommunication about terms. So my prediction is that the social economy will be new economy in general. We will tackle more and more we'll use more and more tech solutions for tackle problems such as climate, so all environmental, health, education, and half of ESGs, I would say, we will touch by this. And everything what will remain, it will be like non-serious business right now. So it's I think that if the term social will remain, it will be more for underrepresented groups, but basically all business will play in social, will play social. And I really love a business model which is not human-centered, but life-centered. And they talk about that a lot, because in life-centered business model, no one lose, even if you fail, because at least there are
you have done your best.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The life-centered is planet and people and everything. So
you have already made some impact. So even if
exactly.
you can continue, but you have changed your
at least little step. But you, even if you lost your money, but you made a small change or small impact.
Yeah. So let's remember this as a message, and I really want to say thank you for all the panelists and also for the audience. So I think can all agree that there is no future without social innovation, and we all have to do our best in a way to contribute, even with small steps. And if it means that then we have to raise awareness or educate about the importance of social innovation, that then it is our way. But also, I think this sharing good examples helps a lot. So then we can see that how broadly this can be interpreted. So I also suggest the panelists to have a look, because we received a nice example from Norway, how they also try to use this concept and how to, let's say, link different communities together. So I really want to say one more thank you for everyone. I think we managed to keep the time, and we will, of course, come back to the audience with our next sessions. So we will disseminate further information, and a big applause also just virtually for our panelists. And also, unfortunately, Karel just had to leave, but yeah, also for him. And goodbye, everyone. Still have a nice day, and let's think about our small steps, how we can make the world a bit better place every day. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.